Hi everybody, Michael Dorfman here, speaking from San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. It is now June 6th, 2020, and first of all, I hope that everybody is doing well during the lockdown. Things are starting to open up a little bit here in the city. We don't have many cases. I think there's around 30 cases, and only one person has passed away. So I think we can be fairly relaxed regarding the situation. So I decided to do this video. It's on my YouTube channel. The name of my YouTube channel is Michael the Thriving Vegan, and I'm going to be posting it on different platforms, and one of them is the Vegan Wave, which is our group. We have close to 200 members, and I wanted to share some of the things I've been thinking about, things that have a little confusing to me, and I thought maybe this could open up a discussion among the members of the group, and not only the members of the group, anybody else who is watching the video can chime in on this as well. So I have some questions that I'd like to post. And well, before I do that, I just wanted to share the information. Well, this is my book. This is The Thriving Vegan. Many of you know it. I just have a few copies left, which are on sale now at the Mercado Sano, as well as two of the Centeno Cafes, one which is on El Codo, and the other one is on the Salida a Celaya. So I just have a few left. You can also get it on Amazon. It's available as a paperback, or, which is I'm sure much easier, it's as an ebook as well. So the title of my presentation today is COVID-19 Questions Without Answers. So I thought maybe after I present this, and what I'm going to do is I have a bunch of questions. I'm not going to put them all on my presentation today. I'm going to put them up on the Vegan Wave SMA Facebook group page, and see if any of you would like to respond with your own perspective. But what I'm going to be talking about is my perspective, because I've been reading a lot. I'm spending a lot of time watching videos which are showing different points of view about what's been going on with the COVID-19, the pandemic. And the first question I have is, since we know the underlying health conditions and chronic diseases that are linked to the COVID-19, we know what those conditions are. They're high blood pressure, they're obesity, type 2 diabetes. Those are the main ones in Mexico. And in the United States, you can add to that cardiovascular diseases. So we know that, and we also are being told that if you have a compromised immune system, you're also susceptible to the serious symptoms of COVID-19, and also greatest possibility of dying from it. And we're talking about all age groups. We're not talking about, it's elderly and most affected, but we're talking about all age groups that they find that they have these underlying, at least one of the underlying symptoms in the great majority of the cases. So we know that those are the conditions that are connected to the virus. But my question is, why aren't we being helped? Why aren't there any guidelines? If those are the underlying conditions and the chronic diseases, why aren't we getting any guidelines as to how to, improve our health, how to strengthen our immune system? We're not getting that. And it's not only here in Mexico. In the United States, I haven't heard. Have you heard anything about improving your health? They tell us, oh, you have to stay at home, in your house, and you have to maintain your safe distance, wear your masks, your gloves, whatever, you have to do. But nobody is telling us how to improve our health. And what better time to do that than while we're in our homes? A lot of us, sometimes we're looking for things to do, especially as the weeks go by. What better advice could there be, to, than improving your health? And improving, we know, because most of us, I suppose, are on plant-based diets, and we know that it doesn't take a long time to improve your health. It doesn't take a long time to strengthen the immune system. It can happen in weeks and days, and here we are not getting that information. So that's like a major question I have. And I'm saying, well, what is the reason? Why? And maybe it's because, doctors, the health professionals, they don't know too much about, different type of lifestyle changes that could improve everything. Maybe that's why they don't tell us. Right now there are no drugs that have been approved. So, if they don't have drugs, if they don't have the medicines to prescribe, maybe they just don't have anything else to give us. Fortunately, we know that, following a healthy lifestyle has a lot to do with what we, to strengthen our immune system and improve our health, so that, as we get, released into the world, from the lockdown, we could have more confidence in, in our health situation. So anyway, that's an important question I have, and that's the first question I wanted to put up and see what, if anybody has any replies to it. So I wanted to tell this a little bit about, it's an anecdote from when I was a child. And I had, some of you may be able to identify with this, some of you older people like myself. But when I was a child, I was 5 years old, I would, I would get, there were 3 diseases that were, rampant at that time, and that was the measles, the mumps, and the chickenpox. So those 3 diseases I would get when I was 5 years old, and I was supposed to get those diseases. And not only was I supposed to get those diseases, but the people in my class and my friends were supposed to get the diseases. And not only that, all over the country that was happening. So why? Well, because you were supposed to build up your immune system through the antibodies that would make you immune for hopefully the rest of your life, that you wouldn't get those diseases later on. And why was it important to get those diseases when you were young? Because they knew that if you get the diseases when you get older as an adult, it could be dangerous. So that's what happened. There were even measles parties that children would have. So there it was. That's the way we built up our immune system. We had no vaccines at that time. So vaccines, this was in the 1940s, and the vaccine for those diseases came out in 1963, and then, then children started to get their vaccines so that they wouldn't have to go through those symptoms. The interesting fact is that by that time, those diseases were almost non-existent in the U.S. So they started the vaccines that you wouldn't get them, but it was like the first example, of herd immunity, that eventually the whole populations would be immune to the virus. And that's not happening today, except for one country that's doing that, and they have a form of herd immunity they're trying out, and that is Sweden. Sweden has never really had the lockdown. They have some requirements if you go out, but they're not using masks in public. People are going to their jobs, children are going to school, and they have a lot of cases now, and they have also deaths. But they're hoping that they will build up a herd immunity within the country. Most of the tests and most of these actions are being taken in Stockholm, which is the capital of Sweden. But the hope is for the country that eventually it'll have herd immunity, maybe within the next month or so. We don't know if it's going to work there, but what they're hoping will happen is that once they're immune, they will avoid any future waves of the coronavirus, which most of the world they're expecting to happen. Even in Mexico, the Secretary of Health, Dr. Hugo Gatell, was saying maybe sometime during late fall that it's going to come back, and nobody knows how it's going to come back. Is it going to come back stronger? It could be. Can it come back as a mutation? Another, the same virus, but a mutation of the virus? Who knows? But anyway, this is the situation that, we're in right now. And Sweden is interesting because Sweden is considered within the top 10 healthiest countries in the world. So I think that if you're going to see if herd immunity works, you would like it to be done in a healthy country. So I was thinking back because when I was a child, we didn't have a lot of the garbage in processed foods that we eat today. The whole foods I think we were healthier then. Even though we did eat meat, and we had meat, dairy, and eggs. There were no factory farms at that time, so the meat was probably healthier. I think in general, we were healthier. And then, people today in the Western world, which is mostly following the standard American diet. So anyway, that's what happened then. And now, we're going to see if it works out for Sweden, because if it works out for Sweden, then Sweden would be the first positive example that herd immunity can work. So it's interesting because that brings me to the situation where what's happening in the U.S. right now that the protests started. They're expecting, today is Saturday, and they're expecting, more protests. And all of a sudden, everybody's out there. Thousands and thousands of people all over the country are protesting. And it's like, forget about the safe distancing. Forget about staying at home. People are out as if nothing is happening, and it's going to be very interesting because we don't know right now at this point in time. We don't know if there's going to be an increase in a big increase in the amount of cases and deaths from COVID-19 because people are going out there. We'll find out, maybe weeks from now if there's going to be a change in that number. But I'm just wondering, and it's going to be very interesting because, I don't consider, the United States as a healthy country. In fact, if you can look at the list of healthiest countries in the world, they won't be, the United States isn't even in the top 30. And in fact, the life expectancy in the United States is not even in the top 40, for the highest life expectancies. So I'm just wondering how this is all going to pan out, with this. And, for me, just going back to the original idea is that we're very fortunate, because, the vegan wave, our Facebook group, we have people who are interested in nutrition, in lifestyle, and I think it's giving us, a big advantage. I think we're very fortunate. So, anyway, I think that's what I wanted to say, and I will post some of the other questions I have, which I feel that are unanswered, And I'd like to have, if anybody's interested, putting their perspective on, on the page, and hopefully this can continue. So I want to thank you for listening, and have a great day. Bye.